So, yeah, dear friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My thoughts on woodworking patterns found with prehistoric Irish boats may start with the Loch Lean find. The reason why I've chosen this find, this remarkable find, is that this artifact provides quite different clues of Iron Age boat building in the northwest of Europe. The radiocarbon dating of Loch Lean, unfortunately, was based on the measurement of a single yew timber, a small piece of small tenon, but with the consequence of a possible old wood effect. That means that the dating in the 3rd century, within the 3rd century BC, isn't quite safe. It's also the 2nd, even the 1st century BC would come in question for dating. Yeah, however, it seems quite clear that we are dealing here with the remains of an extended lug boat, a lug boat whose builders must have had an idea of what is classical, what are classical building standards. This vessel was made from a multi-part bottom element to receive massive side walls. Two preserved bottom segments, the central one shallowly hollowed out, show a complex joining system. It includes a matrix of bore holes needed for lashing together both partners of the bottom along a three-lined longitudinal and transversal edge. This is marked. These findings are marked in red in the plan shown here. And this joint was stiffened additionally by one dovetail running athwart, marked in blue. The boat's side walls were attached to bilge profiles at the bottom element by the help of mortise and tenon technique, each loose tenon secured in its individual pair of mortises by each two pegs. Woodworking principles as lashing and the use of elongated dovetail bars was state-of-the-art in prehistoric Central and Northern Europe, the latter known, for instance, also from multi-part disc wheels since the younger Neolithic period. However, the sophisticated mortise and tenon joinery of the Loch Lean boat find conveys a Mediterranean spirit. In the period we are dealing here with, that is the 3rd to the 1st century BC, this technique was the concept of Phoenicians, of Carthaginians, of Greeks, and of Roman woodworking. There is still another slightly younger logboat found in North Ireland, which also preserves the application of locked mortise and tenon joints. It's just probably a repair or an addition of a part of a gunnel segment, but finally it is an archaeological evidence of mortise and tenon from a late Iron Age Irish logboat. But there's a third item which needs our interest, our attention. It is an absolutely unique timber object which has been discovered underneath a section of the Iron Age Corley trackway, which shares the same concept. The late Barry Raftery could have been right in saying this delicately made constructional piece might have originated outside Ira. Yeah. And this is what I believe also. But let me continue with a short history of mortise and tenon technology. During the classical periods, this principle crops out almost everywhere in the Mediterranean world for preservation reasons, namely with ancient ship finds, but also with other wooden products. The use of LMT joints, of locked mortise and tenon joints, was standard to erect carvel-built ship bodies, even deck planking, but also coffins, caissons, wheel felloes, and other stable timber constructions with which necessarily had to be put together from boards or from planks. However, the origin of LMT technology was neither Mediterranean nor it was born in a maritime sphere. Earliest evidence come from pharaonic Egypt, preserved with sarcophagi, with door blades, and especially with furniture. The earliest clue I have found is the fragment of an ivory chest uncovered by Flinders Petrie in the first dynasty tomb of Pharaoh Udimu at Abydos, dated around 2920, 2940. It's this tiny piece of ivory which has been published 120 years ago. There are lots of younger evidences. That furniture whilst in Egyptian shipbuilding, only sparse technical relics of this kind can be found. I show here just a few or two examples. It is, for instance, a blank from the Elisht pyramid complex, which was published more than 30 years ago. And also this nice fragment of a steering oar blade, which has been found on an Egyptian expedition base site at the Red Sea coast. You can see here this steering device was made, this blade was made from two pieces. The second one is missing. We see here the fragment, or the one piece was connected to the other by these four mortise and tenon joints, which were locked at several points. Yeah, since the Middle Bronze Age, LMG technology appears for the first time outside the Nileland, especially in the shape of wooden grave goods, but also from settlement finds from the Near and graves from the Near East. I show you just one example from the Jericho tombs from the 18th, 17th century BC. In this case, a massive table board from a three-leg table of this period, which was nicely made with the surrounding profiles connected to the massive table board by a locked mortise and tenon technology. Yeah, the late Bronze Age ship finds of Uluburun, late 14th century, and from Cape Caledonia at the southwest Turkish coast are the earliest evidences of this technology from seagoing watercraft in the entire Mediterranean. In part spectacular finds out of the Royal Tumulus MM at Gordion, as well as objects from archaic Samos, and quite a number of wooden coffins, the most of Hellenistic age, were made by the application of mortise and tenon joints. The famous serving stands from Gordion are accurately made with even with extra pegging, but made with according the mortise and tenon principle. Or there is a good number, quite a good number of wooden coffins found in Egypt, in the Ukrainian Kerch area, but also in Northern Africa and the like, which are made, not all, but quite a number made by mortise and tenon joints. Yeah. So, archaeological evidence, and this is important to notice, archaeological evidence earlier than the middle of the 8th century BC comes exclusively from Egypt, from the Levant, and from Anatolia, whereas younger material spread throughout the whole Mediterranean world and the Black Sea region, from Spain to the Ukrainian Kerch. Yeah, the same is true if only ship finds from classical antiquity are considered for mapping. On the European continent, it was not before the Roman occupation of Gaul and of the Rhine-Danube region that LMT technique was present outside the Mediterranean. And this makes the Irish evidence from the 3rd to 1st centuries BC so remarkable. To return to my initial topic, evidence of classical shipbuilding procedures from Iron Age Ireland does not provide the only link to the technical standards applied by Republican Rome, by Carthaginians and Greeks in this part of the Old World. There's the skull of a Barbary ape uncovered in the middle to 2nd century BC layer of Navan Fort in North Ireland. But not to forget the famous Broiter hoard, which not only comprises Celtic gold and a strange ship miniature showing sail and oar propulsion for the first time in this part of barbarian Europe. This hoard also comprises jewelry showing distinct Mediterranean technical design. This patent clasps, for instance, have good parallels in late Hellenistic Alexandria, but has also earlier parallels in Etruria and even in the Near East. I'm not so sure whether this hoard, the dating of this hoard to the second half of the 1st century BC is true. I would say it's also with a look on the Celtic material. It can also date back to the end of the 2nd or beginning of the 1st century BC. However, having a look on the other side of the Irish Sea to Britain, we come across a quite similar situation there. Pre-Roman archaeological evidence of mortise and tenon usage is rare, but nonetheless it is present in Britain, especially in England. The unique lead patch nailed over a cracked inboard of one of the Pierpont dugouts provides to us a feature well known from sealing, maintenance, and repairs preserved by ancient Mediterranean boat and ship finds. Two lead anchor stocks found near Port Phelan, near the northwest coast of Wales, and in the Plymouth Sound, in the English Plymouth Sound, are specific Mediterranean types. The former of Hellenistic age, the latter to be dated not younger than the 4th century BC. Two, in principle, Greek lead anchors, or a combination of wood and lead from this part of the prehistoric world. This is quite interesting. From an impressive number of ancient Greek and Phoenician coinage told to be found in the south of England, most might derive from lost during the Roman period, or they may go back on gifts of modern coin collectors, gifts from coin collectors to museums. However, this is certainly not true for two Macedonian coins excavated at Plymouth near Mountbatten, the one struck under King Philip II and the other perhaps under his son Alexander III or Alexander the Great. Barry Cunliffe argued that such foreign currency reached the area in the late Iron Age and the younger Iron Age in the course of tin trading, rather than caused by exchange networks arising in the days of the Greek explorer Pythias. However, there's no doubt that archaeological correlations discussed before were influenced by any historical events. Until the Italian wine trade to England started perhaps at the end of the 2nd century, the sphere of interest of aspiring Rome moved closer to the Northwest Atlantic seaboard already around 100 years earlier, namely when the occupation of the Iberian Peninsula began. Exploration voyages and trade activities of Mesolithic Greeks and Carthaginians during the 3rd century BC equally could have promoted technical transfer from the Mediterranean into Iron Age Northwest Europe. And also, and this is my plaidoyer, also research in logboats can contribute thus to this interesting aspect of prehistoric archaeology in the northwest of Europe. I thank you very much for your attention.